Hello, it's Kathy again, our Monday afternoon check-in. Yeah, I'm going to go through some things today, mostly on time management again and multitasking, how to keep from doing all of those things all at once. I'll just dive right in. Oh, I wanted to let you all know that I am going to be doing some coaching, so some free coaching. So if anyone is interested in just having 30 minutes to talk and figure out kind of priorities for yourself for the holidays or for the year coming up or the end of year kind of things you want to finish or goals you have. I'm offering that for 30 minutes, so it's not a long kind of hours kind of thing. So if anybody's interested in that, there's a link in the Facebook page to set up that to, on my schedule. So go ahead and click on that if you're interested. So I'm going to talk mostly about kind of taking care of yourself and how to do some time management things so that you have the energy and the time to do the things that you want to do. And you want to think about kind of how you want to show up for yourself each day. So kind of prioritizing what's important to you and doing the things that's really important or maybe things that you need to get done for that day. So having some sort of schedule, so either a written out schedule or a calendar that you do each week, maybe on, Saturday or the weekend or whatever day works for you to do some sort of schedule so that you know what's going to happen in your days from day to day. And maybe look at it first thing in the morning or the evening before what's coming up the next day. And if you find that your schedule, or maybe look at the whole week, and if you find there's one day or something in that day that's just going to make your life pretty hectic, maybe there's something you can take off of that schedule. So you want to make sure that you know from day to day what you have scheduled so you don't come up on something and all of it at the last minute be like, oh crap, I forgot that, or you have to run to the store to get cupcakes to take to your kid's school or something like that. So if you have a schedule already made out, that will help you to stay organized and realizing that having a schedule of things for other people, but you also should have a schedule for yourself, working in kind of things that you enjoy doing, or just having 30 minutes that you don't have anything scheduled so that you have some time to unwind and, kind of relax and not have something constantly on your schedule that has to be done, and in that day or in that week or whatever, so that you have time to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you kind of have maybe get overwhelmed, or you just don't have the energy to do things for other people, because you're constantly giving and not filling your own cup back up to have the energy to do things. And you want to maybe look at what you actually spend your time on. So maybe look at a day that's a typical day for you and figure out what it is that you're spending your time on. And maybe deciding if what you're spending your time on is one of your priorities. So you want to think about kind of what your core values are, what your priorities are. Um, do you have family that you want to be sure you can spend time with? Do you have siblings or parents that you want to be able to have time to spend time with them, or just talk to them on the phone if you can't spend physical time with them? Or you have pets that need to be taken care of, or other animals that need taken care of, all of the things that are in your day. And maybe you have a movie that you want to watch, put that on your schedule so that you have a schedule of things that you really want to do from time to time or from day to day. So we'll look at things kind of in more kind of a systematic way, because everybody has busy schedules, as moms and grandparents, or whatever, wherever you are in life, there is all these scheduled things that you have to do, and have priorities. So you can think about that schedule for that day or that week, and what is it that needs to be done, and can you put some things off maybe after the first of the year. Maybe there's something on your list that you keep putting off from week to week. Well, maybe it's not something that you really want to do. So when you're looking at time management and making sure that you have the time to do the things that you want to do, you want to have a plan, which is kind of what I said earlier. Whether it's a physical plan or just a notebook that you put tasks on, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You want to just be sure that you have a plan for what you're doing for that day or that week. And then maybe make a list of things that need to be done, for this week or this day, or however you want to do that. Maybe you have a grocery list that you keep on your refrigerator, and when you run out of something, you just add to that list. And so that you can keep an ongoing thing that lowers your stress level. If you have it written down, and you don't have to remember all these things all the time. So then you have kind of a to-do list, and you can see progress throughout the day, things that you've got finished or things that you still need to do, so that you can figure out the time that it's needed. And maybe work on automating things. So maybe you have cat food that you need, every so often. You can automatically have that ordered and delivered to your house. Or if you need diapers for your baby, you can automatically order those, that they come to the house just, however often you need them. You can also make a list for your kids, things that they can do. Most kids can, even at young ages, they could have things that they should be able to do. So you can, give them something to do that gives them responsibility, teaches them time management, knowing that, I have to get these things done before I can go play, or I can play for so long, and then I have to go do my chores and get my things done in a timely manner. And being able to prioritize with them, what's important on their list that they have to get done for that day, and to not put things off. So the next thing is prioritizing exactly what it is that you need to do in that day, and making sure that everybody is on the same page with what needs to be done and what's a priority, whether that's you making that list of priorities for your kids, or they decide, what time they want to do certain things. You can help them to come up with a schedule for them to be able to get things done, so that you aren't constantly reminding them to do things that you have given them to do. Um, so then you want to kind of look at setting up some systems. So maybe you do meal planning once a week or once a month, and decide, what groceries you have to give, and you can order that online too, and have those delivered to your home, or go to pick them up at the store. Um, Having, say you have a specific place where you put, like, your keys, they always go in one spot, or the mail goes in this spot where you look at, the bills, and put them somewhere where they need to be taken care of. Or, different kinds of things like that, where you have a place where you put things, so that you know where you're going to find it, so that you don't forget things. So bills, and maybe the kids' library books need to be taken back a certain day, and those kinds of things, to keep track of that, so that you're not constantly figuring out, well, what am I doing today, and what needs to be taken care of today, and those kinds of things. um, so you can have a more organized day if you have all of those things taken care of ahead of time. And then maybe there's lots of things you can do online. You can, do your banking online. You can buy your kids clothes and shoes and, tons of things that you can just have scheduled to come to your house, where you don't have to go into a physical store and spend the time, taking the kids. And, you know, as you shop, you pick up more things that you maybe don't necessarily need. So maybe it's easier just to do it online. You can, if you like to travel or you're planning a vacation, say next year, you can start looking at where you want to go and getting airline tickets and all of that, planning ahead so that you can save some money and have something in place so that you know exactly what you're going to be doing for that time frame. And the other thing to think about is if you have memberships that automatically renew, you might want to look at your bank statement to see something that maybe is coming out every month that you're not aware of or that you've forgotten that you have. You can always, look at your bank statements and figure that out. And in that way, you can keep track of things that are automatically coming out of your accounts. Um, and then you can organize that. Is that a priority? Is that something you need or something you want, or and figure out what's important. The other thing to think about is stepping away from technology or paying attention to how much time you spend scrolling, looking at your phone, those kinds of things. Or if you need a break, then it's fine to take a break if that's what you need. But maybe set a timer on your phone or something, so you're only spending 5 or 10 minutes at a time, kind of scrolling, doing stuff, and then getting back to whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish at that time. We all need kind of downtime and breaks and time to walk away from things. But being able to accomplish all the things that don't want to kind of scroll away, 30, 40 minutes just not thinking, because it's so easy to just keep looking at something and going through, and you just don't realize how much time you've been on there. And then you get to the point that you look at your clock or put it down after a certain amount of time, and just that time goes away. um, so keeping track of those kinds of things, kind of time, how much of a break do you need, if you need 5 or 10 minutes, or instead of scrolling on on your phone, surfing something on the web, maybe just walk away from whatever you're doing and go outside for a few minutes, or go talk to a coworker or someone in your office, or maybe just take a little walk around the building inside, if it's too the weather's not permissible to be able to go outside. The other thing you can look at with scheduling is kind of do a time block schedule, where you block off a certain amount of time to do certain things. Say you want to clean your house or clean the bathroom, or um, those kinds of tasks that maybe you do on a daily, not a daily, on a weekly basis. So you block out a specific time on your calendar, and that's when you do those tasks. Or if you have some project that you're working on that you're trying to get done, or say you want to exercise more or plan your meals or those kinds of things, you could have a specific block of time to be able to do those, so that it's a kind of a flexible thing for you, that it's not exactly at 5 after 6 or whatever on a specific time, but you have a 30-minute block or an hour block or whatever you want to do to kind of keep track of what you're doing, but you don't have to have a specific task in that block if that's not the way you want to set it up. So if you think about, trying to do one thing at a time and go from one task to another and give yourself some space to kind of the mind change to, I'm going from this task to this task, and kind of giving yourself some space and time between tasks, so that you can refocus and be ready to do whatever it is that you're doing next, instead of trying to do multiple things at a time, because our brains just have a lot of trouble with kind of focusing from one thing to another. So if you just take a little time, just kind of even just a minute, give yourself a minute to sit, take a deep breath, think about this task is done and I'm moving on to the next task, rather than trying to kind of multitask and do a several things kind of back to back to back without having some kind of break in between. That helps your brain to unwind, helps you to more focus easier on the next task that you're starting if you kind of have this pause and take a moment to go from one task to another. And then the next thing is to learn to say no. I know it's so difficult to say no. It's like we want to be involved in our kids' lives or the kids' sports and having volunteering and all of these things. But you have to think about kind of where you are in life and if you have the time and energy to do those things. If your schedules are really full and you just don't have time to volunteer for the kids PTO, or going after school to help with some project with the kids, or going in at lunchtime or whatever to help do things in the classroom. If you don't have time to do those kind of things, or if you're involved in your church and they constantly are asking you to do things at church, you have to think about what it is that's a priority, and do you have time or the energy to do those added things? And learning to think about your schedule and maybe not be an automatic yes, or making that decision in that moment. Maybe say something like, I need to check with my family, or look at my schedule, I'll get back with you, something like that, so that you have some space to really think about whether you have the time and energy to add another thing on to what you're doing. Um, so saying no to something that maybe you would like to do, but you just don't have the time or energy, it helps you to model to your family that they're as important to you as this other thing that maybe you're trying to do. And they understand that it's okay to say no to things when you don't have the time or energy to do that. And you just want to make sure that anytime you're looking at adding something else onto your schedule, is that do you have the time and do you have the energy? Because maybe you have an hour some evening that you don't really have anything scheduled, but that was a time that you were planning on watching a movie or playing games with your kids or something like that. And it's not a hard stop. No, I've got this time that I can't do two things at once. But you want to honor the time at the time that you set that up, that you really wanted to take an hour to take care of yourself or spend time with your family. And that's just as important as volunteering or doing other things for other people. Because if you're constantly giving and giving and giving to other people, and you don't do things to help you or fill you up or make you have the energy or help you have the energy to continue to do those things, then you'll get burned out and be crabby or anxious, or all of these emotions that can come up because you just aren't taking care of yourself, and you're not thinking about that I'm just as important, or you are just as important as all of those other things that you're trying to get done or look at or be responsible for. So when you're thinking about things that need to be done in your day, you want to maybe do stuff that you don't necessarily like doing first. So if don't like doing the dishes, or you don't like, feeding your cats or whatever it is, maybe try to do those things first. Take care of the dishes, maybe clean the bathrooms first thing in the morning when you have a time, when you have that planned. That'll get, that out of the way. Then you can move on to things that you enjoy more. And so you aren't constantly putting off kind of something that you don't really enjoy doing. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, now I have to do this thing that I don't really like doing. And it's at the end of the day when you're tired and maybe you just don't want to do it at that time. So you want to think about that too. And then the other thing is making sure that whenever you have really busy lives, there are times when you have something that comes in that you can't put off. Maybe your kid gets sick and you have to go to the doctors or something like that. And then your schedule kind of gets thrown off. So you want to make sure that you have kind of a backup plan. What am I going to do instead of this? Or maybe life happens and you just can't leave your job or whatever, and you just keep worrying about how I'm going to get all this stuff done. So you want to think about the backup, kind of, can I put this off another day? Have things on your schedule that maybe you could put off for another day in case something happens. But if nothing happens, then you get it done. So you have maybe one or two things on your schedule that you could potentially move to another day if something comes up, or if nothing comes up, then you can get that thing done. So when you look at your time and managing your time and spending time with your family, you want to, have good time management strategies. Make sure that you have some sort of schedule so you know from day to day what you're doing, and maybe have it written down on a piece of paper, or if you like a fancy planner, do that. Or if you have something kind of schedule online. I know personally I use Google Calendar, and I have everything that I do in that with reminders so I don't forget, this is a time that I have to do this and this is a time I have to do that. And every day I look at that to see what's coming up. And then when you're scheduling something out in a couple of weeks, if you have it with you all the time, then you know what your schedule is, and you can plug that thing into your schedule and not have to worry about, oh, do we have something going on in a couple of weeks? How do I know what my schedule is? Just make sure that you keep it with you in some way so that you have an idea of what's coming up. Taking care of the conveniences, maybe online shopping, having automatic payments for whatever payments that you have from week to week or month to month. And then, just doing things automatically online so that you get your cat food every 3 weeks, or your baby's diapers every week or something like that, so that you can have things scheduled from day to day or week to week so that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about it if you automate things online and just have it show up so that you don't have to think about it. Hopefully, you can over time have less and less anxiety or pressure to get things done and have some time for yourself, and block those times in your schedule. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, take 10 minutes every day to just sit and do nothing. Turn off the noise, go sit somewhere where your kids can't bother you, or if you have spouses or parents or other people that you're caring for, you can take 5 or 10 minutes to walk away and just recharge yourself. Listen to some music you enjoy if you need to do that, or just sit and do nothing and just relax and take some deep breaths and enjoy the sunshine if it's a nice day, or go for a walk. It doesn't have to be anything that costs money or makes you have to really figure out how you're going to do that in your day. Maybe you're just going to sit in your car for 5 minutes before you go pick up the kids at school, or before that next appointment with your parents. If you have some sort of thing coming up, you leave 5 minutes early so that you have the time to sit and do nothing. So, think about that as your days and weeks and months over the next, especially with the holidays coming up, because our schedules just get more full and it becomes kind of a bigger thing because you have more things maybe that you're doing. So have more parties, or you have to go shopping for things for Christmas and or other holidays, and it's just kind of can build up where you have very full schedules. So having a schedule written down so you know what's going on, and make sure that you're getting enough sleep, maybe taking a walk every day for a little bit of exercise, eat eat a well balanced diet. That's the best to keep yourself healthy and have the energy to do the things that you want to do. So if you have any questions or any comments, or you need to talk to someone about your schedule, we can always do a free coaching session for 30 minutes. I have several slots for that over the next few weeks. And, no obligation. You can always just talk to me for the 30 minutes and we can come up with a plan for you for the rest of the year or for the beginning of the year, if that's what you want to do. Okay, so we'll see you again next week.